So most of you already know that I watch a lot of movies. It's really my favorite hobby, and as of today, I've seen 221 films this year. Most of those weren't released in 2016, so I'm not considering those for this top 10 list. If I were to pick my 10 favorite movies that I've watched this year, my list would be a lot different. But I do make an effort to see new releases at the theater every Friday night. Some weeks I see 2 new movies and I see almost all of the major releases. My criteria for picking favorite movies of the year is not based so much on how important or masterful a movie is, but rather how much I enjoyed it. Did it entertain me? And mostly, would I watch it again? So while a movie like Manchester by the Sea has a lot of merit, beautiful cinematography, and really good acting, it bored me to tears. It was seriously one of the most boringest movies of the year. Sure, it may have been realistic, but the fact of the matter is, realism can be boring. People's lives just aren't that interesting. I can't imagine watching Manchester by the Sea a second time. On the other hand, films like Zootopia and Swiss Army Man thoroughly entertained me from start to finish, and both left me with a sense of awe and wonder. Other films that almost made my top 10 list include 10 Cloverfield Lane, a wonderfully claustrophobic film with a great creepy performance by John Goodman. Nice Guys, the wickedly funny throwback buddy action comedy with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. I just watched it again the second time last night. Oh, and Andy Samberg's Pop Star, Never Stop Stopping, one of the funniest music satires I've seen since Spinal Tap. Number 10 on my list is Deadpool. Superhero movies are just about my least favorite genre of film. I've never been a comic book nerd, so I really don't understand the myriad of relationships and characters. And I mean, why do superheroes have to fight a civil war and fight it all when really they're immortal? But Deadpool was a different take and didn't make me feel like an outsider. Suddenly, a superhero movie where I didn't feel lost not knowing 100 issues of backstory. I never heard of this guy, but he was hilarious and the movie was an absolute blast to watch. Number 9 is Sausage Party. This was, without a doubt, the funniest comedy of the year. It was almost South Park-esque with its raunchy humor. There's just something so wrong about watching animated food doing some of the things they did in this movie. And about the last 15 minutes of Sausage Party is so outrageous, so over the top, that alone is worth the price. I judge comedies simply on the basis of how much I laughed, and Sausage Party was pretty much non-stop. Number 8 is the only other animated movie on my list, Kubo and the Two Strings. Kubo tells the tale of a boy on a personal quest who learns a lot about himself, others, and life along the way. But don't let that sound boring. It's really a rollicking adventure with great characters, unexpected magic, funny moments, and beautiful, beautiful animation that really had me in awe every frame. This is really a story for adults though, and I suspect young kids would probably be bored with Kubo. Number 7, Don't Breathe. I watch more horror movies than any other genre. Most are now released direct to video or streaming services and never get theatrical release so that they can avoid censorship. In fact, because of the flawed MPAA rating system, it's rare to ever see a hard-edged horror film at the theater anymore. Movies get threatened with an NC-17 rating just because the MPAA judges deem them to be too brutal or too intense. In other words, the movie is doing too much of what it's supposed to do. Basically, it's like telling a comedy that some of its jokes are too funny. As a result, the best horror films are now independent, unrated, and released only on video, and 99% of the mainstream PG-13 Hollywood horror films are bland, predictable, and boring, relying on nothing but cheap jump scares and sanitized generic ghost and demon stories. But once in a while, a movie rises above above the Hollywood clutter and makes a statement. Don't Breathe does what a great thriller does best. It tells a simple story with compelling visuals. The story takes place mostly in a single location, the home of an elderly blind man who's being burglarized by 3 young people. Don't Breathe does a fantastic job of creating almost constant tension, especially in the scenes of complete darkness that are shot only with a night vision camera. The story also manages to have us questioning who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. Don't Breathe isn't gory, there's no slasher killer or demonic possessions. There are natural and honest jump scares, and there's a bizarre twist. If you are not a horror fan per se, this is probably a good film to test the genre and have a ton of fun with a group of friends. It's really a party movie. Coming in at number 6 is The Shallows. I seriously think this is the best shark attack movie ever made. Blake Lively plays a surfer at a remote Mexican beach who gets attacked by a shark and is stranded on a rock just a tantalizing couple hundred yards from the shore. What I like most about The Shallows is that it all seems plausible and all the choices that she makes seem perfectly logical. You can't help but ask yourself, well, what would you do in this situation? Would you dare the short swim to shore? Would you try to outswim a shark? Most of the movie was actually shot in a pool and you would never know it. The special effects and imaging are that good. And a lot of it was shot with a GoPro, which was kind of cool. This is truly a heart-pounding, realistic thriller. It's exciting and it'll have you on the edge of your seat. I just saw number 5 last week, La La Land, which is an absolutely enchanting musical starring Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone. Made by the same director who made Whiplash, which was one of my favorite films of 2014. This tells the story of Mia, a struggling actress, and Sebastian, a jazz musician trying to keep it real. It's a beautiful look at LA with great songs, some terrific dance numbers. It's really kind of a love letter to the old school MGM musicals with some modern twists. The story explores if it's possible for 2 people with similar dreams and ambitions to stay together, or if one person must always compromise for the other. La La Land is a touching, super entertaining movie with enormously likable people who have great chemistry and an ending that you'll have to think about and consider if you like it or not. Is it sad or is it happy? Number 4 on my list is Sing Street, a film about a boy in Dublin in the 1980s who starts a band mostly to impress this mysterious girl he just met. Made by the people who made Once, one of my favorite movies about music. Sing Street is funny, honest. It's a coming-of-age story with great acting and an irresistible story. It's a glimpse into an impoverished 1980s Ireland and the dreams that sustained this group of kids. It's got some great music, some hilarious laugh-out-loud scenes as Connor tries to assemble this misfit band and find its sound. There are poignant moments and moments of heartbreak, but ultimately, Sing Street is a feel-good film that will leave you with a huge smile on your face. My third favorite film of 2016 is The Edge of 17. Teen dramas are really hard to pull off. The 1980s had the John Hughes Brat Pack films like Breakfast Club or 16 Candles, but to me, even those struggled in part with the dialogue. Understanding how real teens talk is pretty hard to portray. Either writers load the script with too much hip lingo that they think kids use, or they make the kids sound like introspective 40-year-olds. The Edge of 17 does a great job in making every character sound real, and they make all the dumb decisions that real teens make. Haley Steinfeld should win an Oscar for her performance as Nadine, an angsty, awkward high school junior trying to come to grips with various emotionally complicated events in her life. This would be an easy role to come across as just annoying, but she manages to keep it grounded and real, and Nadine experiences real growth. No matter your age, we can all identify with her high school experience and relate to those problems. Woody Harrelson also has a great role as that one teacher that we could all relate to, and even his character is grounded with unexpected depth. If you liked Juno, you'll really like Edge of 17. Number 2 on my list is Arrival, about an alien encounter with the human civilization. Amy Adams plays a linguistics expert brought in by the military to decode and translate what an alien ship is trying to communicate. The process is fascinating and the film is exciting in a very cerebral way. This is not a typical sci-fi film. If you're expecting laser fights and action scenes, you're going to be disappointed. This is hard science fiction that explores big topics with a global reach. How can humans possibly communicate with an alien intelligence when we can barely communicate with each other? If nations are willing to go to war because we refuse to communicate, is there hope for the future? Amy Adams is fantastic in Arrival, and she also deserves an Oscar. The story unfolds in an unconventional way, building to an eventual aha moment where it all falls into place. The ending will leave you going over the entire movie in your mind and discussing what it all means and its implications. This is the kind of movie that begs discussion after watching it. I highly recommend Arrival. And finally, the number 1 film on my list, my absolute favorite movie of 2016, The Witch. When I go through a list of everything that I want to see in a movie, this movie has all of the boxes checked. The Witch is a low-budget masterpiece that defies genre and labels. It's sort of a horror film, but really it's more of a period drama. The story takes place in 1630 New England with period-accurate dialect, sets, and costumes. The film really demands your attention to understand the dialogue in parts, and it refuses to compromise or dumb it down. This is the debut performance by Anya Taylor-Joy, who delivers a haunting portrayal of Thomason, the eldest of 5 siblings. This was a hard time to be alive, and every day revolved around long hours of hard work, interrupted by prayer, but all of the actors managed to deliver difficult lines with believability and conviction. The Witch takes place mostly in one location on a small farm with one deeply Puritan family faced with religious persecution. When their baby goes missing and other hardships begin to arise, they begin to wonder if a witch is involved. Could one of the family members be in league with the devil, or are they just experiencing religious paranoia and delusions? I love the slow, plodding pace of The Witch. It manages to create an overall atmosphere of doom and despair throughout the entire film. There is always a feeling of dread in the back of your head that sometimes it's even hard to pinpoint. The visuals and cinematography are beautiful and bleak and almost reveling in an almost monotone color grading. The musical score is unnerving and unobtrusive. It just gets under your skin. From the very first second of this movie to the end, you are immersed in another world. It is relentless. There is no comic relief, no colorful moments, no sense of optimism, just despair. And there are moments of genuine terror based on tragic events and shocking scenes of brutality. But none of these are cheap or gratuitous, and in the end, we're left with a bit of a puzzle. How literally you choose to interpret the ending is worth debating, but for me, it doesn't really matter. The Witch grabbed me from the start, transported me to a different universe, challenged me, disturbed me, and thoroughly entertained me for 90 minutes. It may not be for everyone, but for me, this was the single film of 2016 I could find no fault with. And that's it for this year. I'm sure my list is way different than yours, so let me know what you think. What are some of the most entertaining movies you saw this year? What films Did you like enough to watch a second or even a third time? Oh, just a reminder, Woodworking for Mere Mortals returns Friday, January 13th on my main channel. And of course, we're always posting new shows over at Home and Garden for Mere Mortals. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great New Year's Eve, and I will see you in 2017.